Welcome back to Reading Bear. Today, we will take a look at some new I Don't Work Here Lady stories. And if you enjoyed my content, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and post some bear emojis in the comments. Let's go!
The first one is titled, A Weird Encounter. Happened yesterday as I was filling my ute pickup truck for the USA types at the service station. I had been out working my bees, so I was dirty, sweaty and tired. I had an old, stained t-shirt on, shorts and thongs, flip-flops. I in no way looked like I worked there. A young 20-something woman, hereafter Karen because, hey why not, pulls up to the other side of my fuel pump. She was dressed in sharp business style complete with the high heels and false nails. Karen, fill my tank when you are done there. As she starts to walk inside the store. Me, I don't work here lady. Karen, ugh. I don't care. Just fill the damn car. Then she storms off inside with a clatter of high heels. I just shrug, finish filling my tank and head inside to pay. I have no ducks left to give these days. It might have been different if there had been some common courtesy used, a please, or thank you, or a could you possibly help me, but brusque orders are the absolute best way to piss this old guy off. I head to the counter and see Karen is already waiting there to one side. Me, number 4 pump. Karen, and I am on number 5. The guy behind the register looks surprised. Cashier, there is only the one sale for number 4 pump. Me, yep, as I hand him my card. Karen, he filled my car too. Me, nope. Karen instantly goes from 0 to oozy, red-faced and shouting because apparently, I had defied her command. I told you to fill the ducking tank. Jesus Christ, are you ducking stupid, and so on. Me, look witch, I don't work here, I don't work for you and I most certainly don't take orders from arrogant ones, so get out there and pump your own ducking fuel. She ranted some more, I left, too tired, don't care. So, I am still trying to work out exactly what her problem was. I have never encountered this level of self-centered arrogance before. If anyone has any ideas, I would like to hear them. If the poor cashier is reading this, mate, I am really sorry for leaving you with this psycho. I will come by next week and apologize in person. The next one is titled, Lady, Please. I'm just trying to get cake ingredients. So, this just happened an hour or so ago. My grandmother and I went out shopping to get ingredients for my birthday dinner and the cake I'm going to make. My birthday is in 2 weeks, but the ingredients we needed are on sale and most of them are canned, so we went to get them today. My grandma decided it would be faster if I were to take a basket and grab the cake mix and pineapple and any other mixes we needed at home, and she went to get the peas, orzo, and bacon bits. I found the pineapple cans pretty fast, so I had plenty of time to look at all the cake and brownie mixes. I had some music playing in my headphones, so I couldn't hear anything around me. While I was looking, someone tapped me on the shoulder. I assumed I was standing in their way and they needed something from the shelf I was looking at. I said, "Oh, I'm sorry," and stepped aside. I saw the lady start talking, so I pulled out one of my earbuds. Lady, can you help me find whatever item it was, I don't remember. Me, knowing where most of the items are, oh, that should be in aisle number, unless they rearrange the store. Lady, well, aren't you going to show me where it is? Me, oh, sorry. I'm actually looking for cake mixes. I don't work here. I should probably note that most employees at this store wear vests and I was wearing an olive green shirt I had just gotten for Christmas. Lady, don't lie to me. You obviously work here. She gestured toward my lanyard, which I have a picture of my late husky hanging on. It also has a key to my home, which I have just in case I get locked out, me getting really anxious because I don't like confrontation. Lady, please. This is just a picture of my old dog and a key to my home. I told you where your stage should be, so please, leave me alone. You're making me uncomfortable. Lady, getting irritated, I'm not leaving you alone until you take me to where the item is. At this point, she had started raising her voice and had caught the attention of some people nearby. One guy who looked about my age walked up and asked if she was bothering me. Before I could get a word out, the lady started going off. Lady, this young lady won't show me where item is. Other stuff I don't remember because I was trying to hold back tears. Guy, lady, she doesn't work here. She goes to my high school. I know her. Leave her alone." At this point, the lady spotted an actual employee and walked off to harass them. I thanked the guy, who, for the record, actually does go to my school. I just didn't recognize him, and went back to picking out mixes. The next one is titled, "Mistook Ghostly Apparition for My Boss." This was 4 years ago. I work in caregiving in what's called an ISL for the intellectual, mentally disabled population. I do everything from cooking, medication distribution, grocery shopping, basic housekeeping, adult diaper changing, bathing, etc. I'm a glorified nanny, and we staff are sometimes the only family they've got. Management was iffy, and the office management were brutal. They have what's called pop-ins, where management can come up unannounced to see how we're doing. This helps against theft of narcotic meds, money, abusing the disabled, etc. The company can send any manager anytime, and all doors are unlocked, open overnight. Where I worked, it was this beautiful 5-bedroom home. Open concept, upstairs bedrooms, then 2 downstairs. It was nice. It even had a visiting room. I wish I had a house nice as this one. Onto my IDWHL ghost story. I was working a long shift. I was in my 11th hour in, but I was fully awake and conscious. I started my day at 9 a.m., and when this happened it was 10 p.m. I wasn't that tired. I've worked longer, harder, and I wasn't always on my feet. I was in the visiting room, taking a break with my shoes off, watching YouTube videos. My female coworker was in the living room laying down watching TV. Our individuals, people we support, were all asleep. There were 4. Down the spiral stairs in a mostly dark house comes this younger male, thin, age between 18 and 24. His hair is neat, and he passes by the guest room and said, "Hello." Like he did it on a regular basis. I had been looking down on my phone and almost didn't catch it. I was thinking, oh crap. I scrambled to put my shoes on, put my phone away, and got up to see where this random pop-in manager went. He had gone down the hallway, but I didn't want to wake the individuals sleeping in their rooms. Managers were required to check on them upon arrival, so that's what I thought he was doing. I couldn't find him anywhere, so I asked my coworker where the pop-in manager went. She must have seen him, because I would have heard him walk in the front door. The back door was visible to my coworker when she was in the living room. Like I said, open concept. She was confused. What manager? We searched the house and I told her what I saw. This dude didn't match any description of any of our individuals, and he essentially vanished down the hallway that had no alternative back door. The only explanation I have is it was a ghostly apparition. My coworker laughed at me after this. I had resigned shortly and moved to a different company after for unrelated reasons. Maybe this spirit sensed I was leaving and wanted to give me a farewell? I'm not sure, but I swear to God, I saw a guy from the corner of my vision walk down a flight of stairs and down the hall like he was a pop-in manager. We would have heard him enter either the front or back, but we didn't. The next one is titled, "I sent Karen to aisle 10 in an 8-aisle store." This happened years ago when my wife and I lived in a mostly African American neighborhood in Detroit. I am white and my wife black. Totally relevant to the story. I worked for the city government as an office manager and wore a white shirt and tie every day. I also usually had a pen or two sticking out of my shirt pocket, so if I stopped at a small local food store after work, I naturally was often mistaken for an employee. A fellow shopper would ask where an item was and I would reply with a polite IDWH, but knowing the store layout, direct the person to the needed product. Almost every time the other shopper apologized, and I would smile and say, "No problem," fully understanding their assumption. Almost every time. Then I met Karen. I was shopping after work one evening, crouched down to read labels on items on a bottom shelf, when I felt someone grab my upper arm. I looked up to see her, the rare urban Karen. This Karen was a middle-aged black woman with sunglasses propped up on her head, in a rather nice-looking outfit that hinted at a middle-class status. Still holding my arm, Karen demands, "Do you speak English?" I'm stunned and confused. I look up at my attacker and instinctively answer, "Yes." Then I assume that this Karen not only thinks I'm an employee but also Chaldean Arab, as are the store's owners. By the way, I was friends with the owners and their family and knew all of them spoke perfect English with only a Midwest American accent like mine. Well, I'm surprised that any of you, insert slur for Middle Eastern people here, can understand English, Karen hisses. I stand and Karen lets go of my arm. Where's the whatever product she wanted? Without hesitation I tell this bigoted Karen, it's in the center of aisle 10. Without a thank you or any other word, Karen looks up at the aisle 2 sign overhead and turns on her heels in search of aisle 10 in a store that has only 8 aisles. I head for the checkout and as I'm paying for my purchases, hear a very loud, "Where the hell is aisle 10?" from the far end of the store. I was sorry to stick the friends, the owners of the store, with the unhappy task of dealing with Karen after I left, but we had a good laugh about it the next time I went shopping there. Sorry, not much drama, but I liked it. Edit, thank you for the comments. Because of a few things mentioned, I feel that additional context is needed. Yes, I reported that I am white and my wife black on purpose. I wanted the readers to know that I felt, in no way, uneasy, uncomfortable nor even threatened by being the only white shopper there. Being the only white in a gathering literally defined me. All other times that I was mistaken for an employee were friendly, non-confrontational and even amusing. The fact that this store was in an African American neighborhood is central to the story. What I neglected to report was that I was mistaken for an employee many times when shopping, not in my white shirt and tie, as well. I never took offense because my fellow shoppers were never rude until Karen. And, as a commenter pointed out, and I really did know but mistakenly wrote otherwise, Chaldeans are not Arabs but a separate religious and ethnic group originating in what is now Iraq and, from my experience, wonderful people. The next one is titled, 2 Karen Stories for One Family. So, over the last week my husband and I have both had to deal with some obnoxious Karens. My husband's experience happened first over the weekend. My husband works for a contractor's company and was working at a local large hospital for some renovation upgrades. He was in the cafeteria waiting for 2 other guys so they could get to work and was very clearly wearing his company shirt that in large white letters says the company's name and wearing a badge with his face and company name and had tools on a tool belt. Husband is DH and Karen is K. I wasn't there, so this is how my husband told me it happened, which was backed by his 2 co-workers who came in when it got good. K, excuse me, I want someone to go get me food from place famous for chicken only. DH, sorry, I don't think they have that here. He goes back to playing a game on his phone or something. All he remembers is he went back to his phone. K, so, aren't you going to go get it? DH, no, I'm waiting for my guys to start work. K, shoves her leg into my husband's face. K, I'm a patient here and you have to take care of me. I want food from that place and find someone competent enough to know to put the band on my wrist, not leg. DH, I don't work for the hospital. The registration desk is down the hall, maybe they can help. My guys are here, so I'm going to start work. Have a nice day. She then grabbed his arm in full view of co-workers that had just come up. K, I know you work here, now go get me food. DH, ma'am, I don't work here, please let go of me. My husband is careful not to jerk away in case she falls since it's a hospital. He made sure she was steady and pulled his arm away and started walking towards the elevators. K, get back here and get me whoever is in charge of you to have you fired. DH, I'm in charge of my guys today and we are leaving. It wasn't that exciting, and he didn't see her for the rest of the day, but he got hell from his co-workers about it. Now my experience, which was yesterday. I work in an office building which shares about 20 separate offices with other companies. I have one near the end of the hall on the 2nd floor by a door that's always locked. My co-worker's office is down the hall, so my door is normally open for people coming to get checks or drop off contracts and checks. Further down the hall is a few other offices occupied, one of which is place that orders COVID tests and other lab tests to be sent to an independent lab. Earlier yesterday I heard the owner of that office on the phone with someone yelling to calm down and be respectful or he wouldn't help her. I ignored most of it because it's not my business. Fast forward to yesterday afternoon and someone opened the door on the opposite end from me and started stomping down the hall. There are clear signs on the door and even arrows to point you to the specific office you need. An elevator has office numbers, mine is 12 and the other one is 16 for instance. Stomping continues and some lady wearing no mask, coughing up a storm barrels into my office, slamming the door back into the wall. I had it slightly closed. I'll be M for me, and owner will be O and lady will be B for well you know. B. I have never been spoken to so rudely in my life. How dare you speak to me that way earlier? Keep in mind the person she spoke to earlier was a guy with a deep voice in 60s and I'm in my 20s and obviously pregnant. Excuse me ma'am, I'm going to need you to step out of my office and put on a mask and speak calmly or I will not help you. B. How dare you? I have respiratory issues and don't have to wear a mask. That is all fine and good, but in my office, you have to wear a mask for my and my child's protection or I will not help you. Either put on the mask and leave. I had no idea who she was yet and thought someone was made at my company. B starts to come around my desk to come even close to me and I grabbed hand sanitizer, closest thing. If you come any closer, I will call the police and I will defend myself. Back up and put on a mask. B grumbles but takes steps back until she's in the doorway. B, you sent me to a place for COVID testing that had a bunch of people in the waiting room and now I'm testing positive because you sent me there. What are you going to do for me? I demand a refund and for you to comp my next tests and visits. Okay, not my company, so I'll tell her. But who the F comes into an office with no mask after testing positive? I'm in quarantine until I can get a test done. You're in the wrong office. It is down the hall in suite 16. I don't work. B, yes, you do. I talked to you earlier. No, you didn't, and I don't work for them. I work for XYZ Carpenter office. Get out now before I call the police. B, I will tell them you caused me to get COVID and have you arrested for endangerment. At that point the owner of my company came back and came to hear what the commotion was about. She came up, heard the police bit and decided to step in. Oh, excuse me, why are you harassing my employee? B, she yelled at me over the phone and made me get COVID. Oh, you're COVID positive and not wearing a mask to spread it to my employee and this entire building? You need to leave now, or I will be calling the police. B, you wouldn't dare. Oh, go ahead and call, I'll stay right here until they get here. I started typing the number into my phone and the lady ran down the hall and out the door. Told the other office about it and they had all the information and will take care of it with a report. But seriously, now I'm in quarantine and so is my boss and I'm just hoping I don't have it. The next one is titled, Just Take Your Warm Wine Coolers and Go, Karen. Last night, I took a trip to my local liquor store to get some bourbon for my apartment. I'll admit, I'm there often. The employees are cool, low-key, and most importantly, they don't judge me for frequent visits. I pick up a nice bottle and start reading the label when I hear a loud hum behind me. I turn around and see a full-blown Karen. Like when I say this lady could be the mascot for Karens R Us, I mean it. Karen is holding a pack of blue, gross-looking wine coolers. She goes, I'd like these colds. I chuckle politely. Oh, sorry. I don't work here. I do a quick scan of the store and spot an employee a few aisles away, stocking shelves. I point to him. It looks like he does, though. I turn back around and continue reading the bottle in my hand. Karen did not accept my response. Yeah, you do. I see you here all the time, she answered, very rudely. I turn back, chuckle again and say, yeah, they should hang a plaque in my honor for how much business I give them. But I really don't work here. I took my bottle and continued down the aisle. Karen followed closely behind me. She was definitely not social distancing. She scoffs, well, can't you just go look for me anyway, since you're here so often? I was kinda shocked by this request. Like, what? I simply replied with, I'm actually on my way to check out, but I'm sure that employee can help you. Before I could even finish, Karen huffed. Judging by your appearance, you mustn't have a job or life to get back to so quickly. I swear, the level of respect these days is ridiculous. I was wearing sweatpants, so it's weird she thought I worked there in the first place. I didn't even turn around this time. I just laughed and said, whatever, lady. Godspeed. Karen did not like this one bit. What did you just say to me? You little brat. I know I shouldn't fuel the fire, but I'm pretty sarcastic by nature, and I just couldn't help it. I turned to her for the last time, and said, well, judging by your appearance, I wouldn't expect you to know how to treat people with basic human decency. I hope those wine coolers help heal whatever wounds are possessing you to act like a child. Fingers crossed you brought your ID. It's like she malfunctioned. She just stood there dumbfounded, with an awful grimace on her face. She slammed the wine coolers down on the floor and walked out of the store. I happily picked them up, and brought them back where they belonged, earning a smile and a nod from the employee. Let me tell ya, the bourbon tasted even better after that. The next one is titled, Karen Can't Understand Basic Kindness. This is a generally wholesome story with a comedic Karen encounter. When I was 17, I worked at McDonald's. Now, the fact that the red and black uniform of McDonald's looks nothing like the blue-centric Walmart uniform has little bearing on this story because, as we know, the only colors a Karen can see are beneath me and my reflection. So, I was visiting Walmart after work, straight out of work. I was still in uniform and my hair was a mess, so I still had my McDonald's hat on. I swung by electronics to check out the games, and while I was looking at them, there was a pretty young kid like 10 and his mother talking to an employee about what game he wanted to get. I overheard their whole conversation while looking at the games myself. He wanted a Pokemon game but didn't know which one to get. It was between Ruby and Emerald. The kid was clearly into Pokemon, but this was his first time getting one of the games because he just got his first Game Boy, and he could only get one. His mum clearly had no idea, and the employee, a very pleasant older gentleman who didn't know beans about something like Pokemon, were trying to puzzle out the difference between the two games. I loved the kid's enthusiasm and totally understood his anxiety about wanting to get the right one, and since I could see his mother and the employee struggling, I went ahead and politely interjected myself. As a big fan of the games, I knew an unhealthy amount about them. I explained the general difference between the games and answered his questions about them, and he ended up going with Emerald. His biggest concern was making sure he could get a Torchic. After the very relieved adults headed off to the register to check out, I was about to leave when an older woman with her husband got my attention and asked, "I need help with the TVs." I responded, "Sorry, I don't really know anything about TVs." "Well, why not? Aren't you expected to?" She huffed back. I realized that in spite of my uniform she thought I was an employee. I laughed and told her, "Sorry, I don't work here, I work for McDonald's." She huffed again and said, "Well, you were helping those people just a minute ago." "Yes, because I knew the answer and was able to help." She snorted, "Well, why would you do that if you don't work here?" I was genuinely baffled by the question, and I just looked at her and said, "To be nice." "Well, I don't know why you would do something like that." I just stared at her, like, how do you even respond to that? After a moment of silence, she finally asked, "So can you help me with the TVs or not?" I just said, "No," and walked away. I don't quite understand what about basic human kindness is so confusing, but there it sits. But the little boy got his Torchic, and at the end of the day, that's what really matters. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Please don't forget to like, subscribe and post some star emojis in the comments if you want to support Reading Bear.